In the heart of Africa, on the southwestern edge of the Sahara, lives a nation of peasant warriors who call themselves the Dogon. For centuries, they have remained fiercely independent, guarding their villages and fields against intrusion from the outside world. Living in widely scattered villages in a turbulent landscape of sandstone, between huge escarpments and inaccessible cliffs, the Dogon cling to a strong religious identity, with concepts of nature and the universe that are unique among the so-called primitive peoples of Africa. These beliefs, interwoven in a tapestry of complex symbols and legends, are known only to a handful of tribal elders. The Temple of Aru is the repository of Dogon religious knowledge. Within its adobe walls are hidden countless objects of great spiritual importance to the tribe. But the essential element of the shrine is human. With no written language, the sacred knowledge of the Dogon lives in the memory of one man, the Ogan of Aru. Approached by the elders of the village, the Ogan alone can direct the course of their rituals. He alone remembers the sacred rites of the Sigi. The Sigi ritual, held only at 50-year intervals, celebrates the movements of the sacred star. It is the most important event in the Dogon world. In preparation for the ritual, a tribal artist begins an elaborate map of the universe. The words of the Ogan are translated into an astonishingly accurate view of the heavens. The planets of our solar system are shown in their proper orbits around the Sun. The rings of Saturn and the moons of Jupiter, invisible to the naked eye, are described in accurate detail. But most remarkable is their knowledge of a distant star called by them Potolo. Named for a seed, Potolo orbits the star Sirius in the constellation Canis Major. Dogon, the star Potolo is the eye of the world, a germinating seed from which they receive all knowledge. Each 50 years, throughout all the villages of the tribe, the Dogon pay tribute to Potolo in the ceremony of the Sigi, illustrating in dance the ellipse of its orbit around Sirius. Half a world away, astronomer Charles Alcock of the California Institute of Technology, with Thomas Bellows, a computer programmer, searched for scientific truth in the Dogon legend. Astronomers now know that Sirius does, in fact, have a small companion star invisible to the naked eye. The coordinates from these observations will be fed into a computer to determine the size, weight, and precise orbit of the sacred star. computer now confirms what the Dogon have known for centuries. A small, incredibly dense star makes an orbit around Sirius every 50 Earth years. In a sacred cave, the elder Amandingi explains the significance of Potolo to initiates of the Sigi ritual. Potolo is invisible to the eye, but not to the spirit. Thus, when men perceive Potolo, they are spiritually renewed. The star is heavier than iron or any earthly substance. To them, it is the creator being, and it is heavy with the life of all worlds. Potolo is the germinating seed sending out its shoots that are the creation of all life on Earth and all life throughout the universe.
After a lot of consideration, I can think of no way that a primitive African tribe such as the Dogon, without any sophisticated astronomical equipment whatsoever, can discover by themselves that Sirius has a companion star which is invisible to the naked eye.
Amandingi's words to the initiates of the Sigi ritual have the ring of truth. With insight, the Dogon have probed the mechanism of the universe. They know what science tells us, that the seed and the star are the self-same substance, elements of a single universal consciousness. For 6 years, L. George Lawrence, a Silesian-born electronics engineer, has used an abandoned prospector's cave in the California desert as a base of operations for research in a new science called biocommunications. His purpose in choosing such a remote location was to eliminate man-made electronic interference during a series of remarkable experiments.
I started my work on plans in 1962 while I was an engineer in the aerospace industry. And at that time, it was one of our goals to develop jam-proof missile components. Now, after much experimentation, my attention turned to living plant material, in particular to plant leaves. Plant leaves are able to react to gravitational changes, to temperature changes, to electrostatic fields, and so on, simultaneously. Now, a man-made sensing device cannot do this. So, as time went on, and I experimented with these various plants and plant leaves, I noted very unusual reaction patterns. Now, at that time, I thought that my equipment was defective. It did not occur to me that I was witnessing a profound consciousness in these living plants. But I was an engineer, nuts and bolts man. I needed to perfect a machine-based system just for the specific purpose of finding out the truth about consciousness in plants. And to my extreme surprise, it worked. There is indeed a consciousness in the plant kingdom.
Lawrence's latest equipment differs significantly from that of other researchers. It dispenses with the necessity to use electrodes directly attached to the subject. He has found through experiments that living vegetable tissue perceives signals with greater sensitivity than electronic sensors. These tiny mustard seeds, removed from a nutrient bath at the point of germination, will act as antennae to receive distant biological radiation. Emerging into the desert night, Lawrence prepares his equipment. At At the end of a Faraday tube, he inserts the seeds which will monitor the signals. A rotating beam splitter will eliminate radio interference. Consulting a star map, Lawrence searches for the constellation Ursa Major, the Great Bear. It is to celestial coordinates 10 hours, 40 minutes by 56 degrees that he will direct his instrument. Lawrence scans the heavens, waiting for the seeds to receive a distant signal. After analysis of his experiment by the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C., L. George Lawrence believes the living plant tissue in his instrument is receiving a message from outer space.
Plants communicate with each other. It would also appear, in our case, that we have actually eavesdropped on a communication that has gone on for millions and millions of years. And by some freak accident, by simply allowing a sensing instrument to remain pointed at the sky, we were able to intercept what seems to be a universal truth.
In the words of Amandingi, the star is the germinating seed, sending out its shoots that are the creation of all life on Earth and of all life throughout the universe. For centuries, they have remained fiercely independent, guarding their villages and fields against intrusion from the outside world. Living in widely scattered villages, in a turbulent landscape of sandstone, between huge escarpments and inaccessible cliffs, the Dogon cling to a strong religious identity, with concepts of nature and the universe that are unique among the so-called primitive peoples of Africa. These beliefs, interwoven in a tapestry of complex symbols, in the heart of Africa, on the southwestern edge of the Sahara, lives a nation of peasant warriors who call themselves the Dogon. For